We are not able to listen anything from your side, sir.
Good morning and greetings from NCERT. गोविंद दो ठाड़े काके लागू पाए बलिहारी गुरु आपने गोविंद दियो बताए. A nation and culture that has always valued its teachers more than gods and understood the crucial role they play to nurture our generations and build a society rooted in knowledge, value, and health. Teachers who have braved the odds of the pandemic to live up to the expectations of their pupil do not just need our applaud, but also our appreciation and support in continuing this noble cause. As a step towards this, Manodarpan Cell NCERT is organizing a 3-day conference empowering teachers for promoting mental health and well-being in schools through its Northeast Regional Institute of Education located at Shillong in a blended mood. For our viewers, we also are to be joined online at NCERT Events YouTube channel. To take the event further, may I now request Principal in Charge, Miri Shillong NCERT, to please welcome our esteemed guests and participants.
Greetings from the Northeast Regional Institute of Education, Shillong, a constituent unit of the NCERT. On behalf of the organizing committee, I cordially welcome Ms. L.S. Changsan, IAS, Additional Secretary Institutions, Department of School Education and Literacy, Ministry of Education, Government of India. Respected ma'am, we are so honored to have you with us as our chief guest for this inaugural session. And I should also mention that it is under your leadership and under your guidance that the Manodarpan has reached its present height. I also extend a hearty welcome to Professor Dinesh Prasad Saklani, our director, who always has inspired, motivated, and guided us in all our endeavors. Respected sir, we are so grateful to you for sparing your time to be with us during this inaugural session. The same welcome is also extended to Professor A.K. Srivastava, our Joint Director, NCERT, Professor Amarendra Behera, Joint Director, CIET, and Dr. Deepak Paliwal, the Joint Director of PSS-CIV. I also extend a warm welcome to the commissioners of the Kendriya Vidyalayas and the Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya, Ms. Kesang Y. Sherpa, IRS, Member Secretary of the National Council of Teacher Education, Professor R.C. Tripathi, former Director, G.P. Pant Social Science Institute, Allahabad, to Professor Anjum Sibia, Dean Academics, NCERT, who has always been our mentor, and especially for this conference, mentoring and also in facilitating us with this 3-day conference. Warm greetings and a warm welcome. It also goes to all the principals of the Regional Institutes of Education situated at Ajmer, Bhopal, Bhubaneswar, and Mysore. The same greetings, yes, it also goes to the heads of the departments of the constituent units of the NCERT, to all the members of the Manodarpan cell, the faculty of all regional institutes and also at NIE, and yes, to the heads of the department here at NIRI and to the staff who are present here. A warm welcome. It is also extended to all the resource persons who will be taking part in this 3-day seminar. We have with us here the delegates who have come from the state of Arunachal, from the NCERTs. We are also having with us our students have in our classrooms. For many studies have shown that teacher stress is linked to poor teacher performance and poor student outcomes. And a teacher with personal mental health problems can have a detrimental effect upon all the students who are associated with him or her. Last but not the least, to all the members of the organizing committee of the Manodarpan cell of NCERT, the staff who are present here, a warm welcome goes to each one of you. We are so glad to have each one of you and also appreciate your presence. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Before moving further, it would be appropriate that our experts and participants know a little more in detail about the Ministry of Education's initiative of Manodarpan. I would now like to invite in charge Manodarpan Cell, NCERT, Professor Anjum Sibia, to talk about the initiative.
Good morning and namaskar to all the distinguished academia who have joined us today in this 3-day conference. It is my pleasure and my privilege to welcome Madam Changson, who is the Additional Secretary and the Chairperson of Manodarpan Initiative. It is under ma'am's guidance. A number of activities are being taken up, and her support has always been us in this work of Manodarpan. So thank you, ma'am, for being with us. We also are very, very grateful to our director, respected Professor Saklani, who has always supported our efforts towards mental health and well-being. I think it would be very appropriate to share that on many occasions in our discussions formally and at a personal level, I have heard Professor Saklani talk about positivity, talk about, positivity in relationships, in interactions, in work. So mental health and well-being is something which actually has now become part and parcel of our discussions in NCERT. So thank you, sir, for being with us in this endeavor, and we look forward to your support in future work also. We have a galaxy of people here from Navodaya, Kendriya Vidyalaya. We also have people from other school systems, like the Sainik schools. So a warm welcome to them. National Council of Teacher Education is represented by Member Secretary Madam Sherpa. We are very happy to have you here, ma'am. Our efforts would not have been complete if it was not the regional institutes of education, the principals, the faculty who are part of Manodarpan Cell, who are making efforts to make the position and the presence of mental health and well-being felt across the region and in their schools across the country through their regions. So thank you everyone for being with us in this. heads of NCERT are forever talking about mental health and well-being with the new curriculum framework, the new textbooks. This is one aspect which is being integrated in the syllabus and textbook. So a warm welcome to the heads, and last but not the least are the participating teachers. We look forward to the interactions and your insights which you have in the field, in the schools with children, and we look forward to your experiences to help us build more in this area of mental health and well-being. So before I actually take you through our 2-year journey of Manodarpan, I would just like to highlight 2 points. One is that this initiative, Manodarpan, which was started during COVID times, actually is talking about socio-emotional aspects of students' learning. It talks about that domain of learning which has been often neglected in the schools. I mean, for quite some time, I have been highlighting this, that effective domain is one which gets neglected. And now it is the policy, which has brought forth holistic development of students' learning and development. And because the policy has talked about this, Manodarpan, I request the participants to please mute themselves. Thank you so much. As I was saying, that the policy has stressed upon holistic development and learning of children. And when this is being highlighted in the policy, the socio-emotional aspects automatically get in the forefront, and it becomes imperative for all of us in the school education system to talk about these aspects which up till now had been taken for granted or have been largely neglected, if I may say so. It is also important to remember that schools provide the context for children's learning. They also create conditions for students to experience various emotions. Therefore, it is important to focus on the protective factors that contribute to socio-emotional development. And this points to creating a school environment which is psychologically safe, where students feel cared for, where they feel valued, and where they are heard. The role of teachers in this is very important. And it is important that they develop the knowledge, the skills, the qualities that they are able to themselves address their own mental health well-being concerns and also the concerns of students. And towards this end, we are having this conference, the 3-day conference on empowering teachers. So with this, I would like to bring forth the work which has been done by Manodarpan. And I would share some of the slides so that our teachers who are participating across the regions, they actually get a feel of the kind of work has been taken up by Manodarpan, and we look forward to their support and participation in this in our future work also. Like I said, that this initiative was taken up by the Government of India, Ministry of Education, under the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, and we started this on 21st July 2020. The objectives are to address the mental health and well-being of all stakeholders. Next, please. Some of the significant activities which we have taken up under this is that on the ministry website, we have a Manodarpan web page. And the page is kind of a support, is a resource for all people in the school system, for our administrators, for our teachers, for the parents, as well as for the students. The web page has advisory guidelines for online classes. We started with online classes, and once the schools reopened, we have a revised advisory also. There's a handbook on psychological support, some practical tips, videos on do's and don'ts for psychosocial support is also uploaded here, and some facts are also there on mental health and well-being. These questions are there to help students and teachers understand what are the issues and concerns and how to deal with them. The last 2 years' work was collated in the form of a digital newsletter, you can say, which was Mantarang. And if you go through the Mantarang, you will see the number of activities which are have been undertaken by the members of the Manodarpan cell. And different teachers across the country. You can see, I request the teachers to have a look at the link which is given on the top. It is this link which will make you access all the resources which are there on Manodarpan. The next activity, which was a very, very significant one, in fact, Manodarpan started with this, and it was to provide a toll-free helpline number to support students, to support teachers and their families during COVID time. This toll-free helpline number actually was supported by our counselors who are trained in the field, and they provided counseling from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and it's still going on. We have a fourth batch of counselors which is presently catering to the needs of students, and we have about 80 counselors across the country who attend to these calls and act as first level support, as first level aid to these students. To support this work, an online directory is also there. We have 300-400 counselors who provide support on mental health and well-being. The next is a very, very significant activity, and these live interactive webinars and discussion sessions are continuing, and they have actually strengthened the system, the teachers on knowledge aspect, the knowledge, the finer aspects of what constitutes mental health and well-being, what are the strategies by which they can help their students. So these live webinars and discussion sessions are organized for creating awareness and addressing the mental health and emotional well-being concerns, as I just said. These webinars are Paricharcha and Samvedna. Everyday sessions are held by our CIT, our counterpart NCERT CIT, under the name of Sahyog. These sessions are for school students, and on daily basis for the last 2 years plus, these sessions are being held, and we have about 450 of these Sahyog sessions which you can access from NCERT official YouTube and official webpage of NCERT. These are the resources which I would share. The schools can download, the schools can share with their students. Teachers can also listen to these webinars to gain an understanding on different aspects of mental health and well-being. A very significant activity was a survey on mental health and well-being of school students. It is very important that we have a status of what students are going through so that we can provide some interventions, and at the same time create a system or support school system so that we can prevent the negative effects which the students are facing because of certain areas or because of certain issues they are facing in their personal life or in their academics. This was one of its kind of survey, and about 4 lakh students had participated through Google form, and the form was shared with all school types, all different kinds of schools, the Kendriya Vidyalaya, Navodaya Vidyalayas, and the Sainik schools, the Kasturba Gandhi, the NIOS, all 10 types of schools across the country, students had participated in this. The report was released by the Ministry of Education as part of Shiksha Parv on 6 September this year, 2022. And the experts, the teachers, and the other dignitaries, if they want to access the report, it is on the web page of the ministry. Another significant activity was modular handbook on early identification and intervention of mental health problems in school-going children. Manodarpan is supported by a working group members who are from diverse fields. Manodarpan Cell, along with the working group members, worked on the modular handbook, and this handbook actually is giving indicators on early identification. You can access the handbook also on the web page. The sessions to sensitize teachers on the mental health survey findings and on the handbook on early identification are part of the 3 days. And we look forward to teachers interacting on these two so that we are able to take forward the work to the schools. In our efforts to support schools, celebration of Wellness Week and celebration of International Mental Health Day is taken up, and we support schools in conducting these activities across the country. They share their experiences, they share the work done by students with us, and that is collated, and all that was brought out earlier in the form of mantra and will also be done this year also. We also, in our attempts towards strengthening the school system, have had orientation programs with directors of SCRT, chairpersons and commissioners from CBSE, Kendriya Vidyalaya and Navodaya Vidyalaya on orienting them to the findings of the mental health survey and on the handbook on early identification and intervention. The idea is if the people at the top are aware of what mental health and well-being encompasses, what it demands, then I think to take it to the system, to the child, to every child in school would be more easier and it would be more fruitful. And towards this end, we also had conferences where we had a conference on school administrators, which was taken up by our counterpart, RI Bhopal, in collaboration with the Manodarpan cell, NCERT. The conference was to, sensitize the school administrators. The other conference was on comprehensive mental health initiative in schools, bridging the gap. And this was looking at the practices which are there in schools and bridging the gap between theory and practice. A 5-modular orientation program on understanding and promoting psychological support on emotional and behavioral emergencies in schools was also one of the significant activities taken up by the Manodarpan initiative. We look forward to collaborations with various institutes to strengthen ourselves with knowledge base and also to seek their support. And National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences have been a great support in this, and they have helped us and they have facilitated many of our programs by their knowledge and expertise. Association of Indian Universities also has been collaborating with us. The colleges like Hindu College, Maitri College, from University of Delhi also have been participating on Manodarpan programs. Public Health Foundation is another important organization. Very recently, UNICEF and has also sought collaboration on mental health. The last is the Mental Health Hackathon. This is one of the most significant activities in the sense that Skill India Hackathon this year, for the first time, included some of the themes on mental health and well-being. 10 themes on mental health and well-being have been introduced in the Skill India Hackathon. And we, along with our working group members, the Manodarpan cell, the RIs and the working group members had worked on this to make it possible. So these are some of the very significant activities. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Teachers have always been at the center stage of educational discourse. NCERT has been the apex organization strengthening and supporting teachers through its research and training for more than 50 decades now. NCERT, under the care of our Honorable Director, Professor Dinesh Prasad Satyarthi, has guided us through this journey. And today I request Sir to please give the opening address. Sir.
Thank you. Chief guest of this National Conference on Empowering Teachers for Promoting Mental and Well-being in Schools, Madam L.S. Junction, Additional Secretary, and she is also promoter and initiator of this Manodarpan program, very significant program. I welcome you, Madam. And our keynote speaker, Professor Tripathi, former director of G.V. Pant Social Institute, Allahabad. Madam Anjum Sibia, people from officers and teachers from KBS, CBSE, and JNB, our RI principals, our teachers, faculty members from NCERT, all distinguished guests, and all teachers who are participating in this program. I thank you for organizing this important seminar. As I came to know in detail about this program, and Madam has already deliberated upon this, that how this program was started in trying conditions, because I think that every bad or evil has something good to teach us. And the same way, pandemic has taught us a lot. Pandemic was a disturbing factor for the humanity, and we suffered a lot, but then we learned a lesson also, that such events also give us something in blessing in disguise. Because of this, not only this Manodarpan, but a lot of pondering and thinking has been taken place across the world, that if such occasions come, then how to react and how to behave. Because these are the trying conditions for each and every one. And we had been witnessing that we all are associated with the education sector. So we had been, just observing and having pain and all this problem, that how the school going kids are suffering, how the parents are disturbed, and how the whole humanity was under pressure. But then certainly if we face the challenges and we face the problem with positivity, then we find path ahead. In the trying situations, Madam Changshan and all NCERT people started this program for taking care of the mental health of our students. So this seminar is going to be part of this important event. And Madam, our principal in charge from Neri, has taken initiative of organizing this. This is very important. I had been to Neri and I had a meeting with people there for one day. Whole day I was with them. And then I could see that they are working there very hard. And they are always taking some initiative for the good of the education and for the NCERT. So I congratulate you, Madam, to organize this seminar, and all support from NCERT and Ministry is with you. And I hope that this seminar will certainly bring positivity among our teachers, because teachers are most important component of the education sector. Just as we say that Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guru Bhainam. If teachers are good, they are happy, they are positive, they are motivating, then only students and schools get progress. If teachers are distressed and they are not happy, then they can't produce positive students, and they can't do something very good for the students. Teaching takes place later on, but first is the mental status. That is very much important, because we all teach, but we see that if we are teaching, just teaching and not observing the students, what is their mental status, then it is just like sowing seeds on the barren lands. So first we have to cultivate the land, and only then the seeds and germination take place. So if we care about our students, we think that their morale is high, they are good, they are cheerful, then whatever we teach them, they will learn it fast. And it has been well proved from all researches that a happy teacher can only deliberate a good teaching. He can ensure good teaching, and good result can be expected from the students if they are taught by the teachers who themselves are in a happy mood and they are positive. So this is very important aspect, that teachers have to be empowered. But how teachers have to be empowered, that is a crucial question. And we all see that by giving them higher salary, is that the factor? No, money has nothing to do with that. The total environment, that is the important factor for making the teachers most productive and most happy, and enabling them and empowering them, giving them freedom to think, to teach, and just to think that teachers are teachers. We society have to respect them. If we don't have respect for teachers, then they cannot be empowered. They cannot be happy. Though teachers are always, they desire always the respect. And only thing they desire is the respect. But then anything is not just on demand. First deserve and then desire. Then teacher have to introspect that if they are teacher, then they have to behave like teachers. And I hope that such programs are eye-openers and we introspect ourselves that by all means we have to be teachers, and if we are teachers, then we must realize how the teachers are, and we must look back in our tradition, particularly about talking about India. Then we have been the tradition of having rishis and munis and saints who had been teachers, and they had ashrams, gurukuls, and our history is replete with the examples of the best teachers from the world, and that's why India was called the Vishwaguru at that time, because of the dignity of the teachers, and all the ashrams were known by the acharyas, Takshila, Nalanda, Vikramshila. They were known by the name of the acharyas, and the reputation of these universities were depending on the faculty. Only by name of faculty, students from across the globe used to come there. Kautilya, we know that Kautilya was in Takshila. Takshila University was there. It is not like the formal university just of today, but the city itself was having many acharyas there, and Kautilya and such acharyas were there. In the same way, if we talk of Vikramshila, Istrimati, and Gunabhadra, and they were the acharyas, and there are so many names. So the education and universities and schools are known by the name of the teachers. Who is teaching there, that is important. So how to earn that respect back, that is one challenge. And for that, we have to think that are we really caring for our kids or not? Because just teaching a student is not sufficient. We have to develop the emotional and sentimental connect with the students, and only then we can realize the student is happy or not happy. Just if we are teaching in a class and some students are performing better and others are not performing better, then we have to look around why it is so. And then if we connect ourselves with the students, then we find about their family, their social atmosphere, what is the problem with them. So we have to connect to the families. Teachers must connect themselves to the families of the students. And then that type of relationship, if we develop, which had been earlier, because earlier, prior to 1835, our school system was entirely different. And teachers used to live in our villages, in our families, and they would impart education to the whole village. Not only on the basis of salary, but their needs were taken care, their welfare was taken care by the society, and they used to teach informally. And that system was a very robust system, as rightly mapped by Dharampalji in his book, Beautiful Tree. That has, if we read that book, then we find what type of education was there. In that condition, our students were empowered, our teachers were empowered, and we were producing many, many good scholars. But now we are, just thrown back by this colonial education system, which was just based on rote learning system and producing the clerks and babus. So we have to change our attitude, and the NEP talks about that. NEP is talking about the mental health and well-being of students, and provide the foundational base for imparting holistic development and nurture in students' qualities, life skills, and assist them in their growth, self-preservation, and sustainable development. So NEP is a shift now, and this Manodarpan is appropriate with this policy. And the National Education Policy 2020 also envisions that the aim of education should be holistic, integrating, cognitive, and effective in order to facilitate holistic development of the students. NEP 2020 has emphasized on the need of the guidance and counseling for addressing mental health well-being of the students. And the whole responsibility lies on the teachers. So now we have to change our mindset, since we are on way to implement the National Education Policy 2020. Then we have a ray of hope around us that we will now change our education system thoroughly on the basis of recommendations of the NEP. NCERT is committed for developing such curriculum which is deep-rooted in Indian ethos and values, And by such seminars and programs, we will be disseminating this positivity among our teachers, and empowering the teacher is really a very inspirational and aspirational aspect of our education system. We always should feel pride that we are teachers, because I used to say that this human life itself is rare, and then education is another, important aspect which is rare. Being human, educated, and then disseminating the education is a rare combination which we all have. So we should feel pride and we should feel up. Only then we can take our students ahead and make them good human being, better human being, and we can aspire for the nation to be again that lost glory, to gain that lost glory of Vishwaguru. I will not speak much because there are sessions and programs. I congratulate all of you, the organizers of this conference, and NCT family and NCERT family. Our member secretary from NCTE is there, and all other officers from the education sector ministry are there. I thank you, all of you, for joining this important program, and I am hopeful that this program will benefit us a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. The transition of the vision of Manodarpan into the reality it is today would not have been possible without the ideas, motivation, and leadership of its chairperson, Ms. L.S. Changson, Additional Secretary Institutions, Ministry of Education. We are privileged to have ma'am as our chief guest of the event. I now request Honorable Additional Secretary, Ms. L.S. Changson, to please address the participants.
Very good morning to everyone. Director NCERT, Professor Dinesh Prasad Saklani ji, Joint Director NCERT, Professor Sridhar Srivastav, and Head of Manodarpan Cell, Professor Anjum Sivia, and today's host organizer, the NERI team, and Principal NERI Shillong, Professor Florit G. Thakar, and today's keynote speaker, Professor R.C. Tripathi, former director of G.B. Pant Social Science Institute, and my colleague, Member Secretary NCTE, Ms. Kesang Yangjom Sherpa, and all the professors and heads of departments of NCERT, and all the participants of today's national conference on empowering of teachers for promoting mental health and well-being in schools. We are delighted that you all have joined us in this important, very important conference on the topic of mental health and wellness, and with a focus on the teachers. You have just heard the journey of Manodarpan and the focus areas of Manodarpan from Professor Anjum Sibia. Professor Saklani ji has elaborated on the importance and the need for mental health and well-being in schools, and the need to look at it from the perspective of the teacher. We had been focusing throughout when we started Manodarpan, when we started this whole, not just this initiative, but when we started looking at the issue of mental wellness in the school environment. Our focus had been a lot on children to start with, because we felt that they were going through a lot of difficulty at that time, and also in the otherwise, apart from the pandemic time, is the children who face a lot of stresses, and they have a lot of anxiety about school. And so we had even conducted this mental health survey with the focus on the children. But we've, as time went by, we realized that actually it's the teachers also who need to be addressed, because they are really an important and the linchpin of the entire school environment. And unless and until we can ensure that our teachers also feel a level of wellness, of mental peace of mind, and they have themselves the ability, the skills to deal with mental uh, wellness, they will not be in a position to deliver any kind of psychosocial support to the school environment. And therefore, this time we have thought that we will focus on the teachers. And I truly welcome all of you to this conference. And I look forward to your active involvement in this 3-day workshop that we are going to have, and in which we will be discussing matters or topics of great relevance and importance. Teachers have always played a very major role. In fact, the opening of today's conference also was the quote that teachers are the heart and soul, actually, of the education system. They are the bridge between the parents and the learners, and on a fourth dimension, I would say, a bridge between the education administrators and planners and the learners. They are the bridge, they are the delivery mechanism. All education that we talk about, holistic education, joyful education, everything depends on the way that a teacher functions, on the way that a teacher delivers. We know for a fact that teachers who develop very positive relationship with their learners and can build up an environment of comfort and safety in the classroom situation and in the school, we tend to see that the learners flourish in such an environment. And the less said, the better when it is the reverse, when teachers are not able to give the kind of support that's required, or even sometimes to the extent of being a bit on the negative side and discouraging. We see that the kind of impact, even a small word, a small comment can have on the child. So apart from the knowledge that they bring, apart from the cognitive elements that they bring to the table in the classroom or in the school, the kind of the entirety, the kind of persona that the teacher reflects or radiates, it is reflected on the child. We, I believe, are at a very important junction when the new National Education Policy 2020 has come up, and the policy actually talks of holistic development. And as mentioned by speakers earlier, it doesn't just recognize the cognitive element, it also focuses a lot on the affective element, on mental health and well-being, on psychological aspects of the students and of the teachers, of the school environment. And this is what it means when the policy means, when it talks about holistic development, education as a holistic development of the child. We are also in the process of forming the new national curriculum framework. And from this, we are expecting that our approach to education, our approach to the school environment is going to comprise a great deal more of focus on the mental health and wellness aspect earlier before. today's conference, this 3 days national conference, will surely bring out a lot of insight into what can go in further into in the preparation of the national curriculum framework. Already, many of you are involved as national focus groups, state focus groups, and in other wider consultations that the team has been, NCRT has been having with or various experts and practitioners. And I do believe that today we will be able to come up with a lot of actionable points in how we can take forward and empower teachers in and in creating and promoting mental health and wellness, an environment of positivity in the schools. We would like that teachers themselves be first sensitized about it, look into themselves. Manodarpan, in fact, the very meaning of the word is that we reflect and look into ourselves. And so it should begin with the teachers. Students emulate teachers. We need to look into ourselves. What is our strength? What is our weakness? What are the points in which we need to maybe we even need to seek help sometime. It's not that teachers are invincible. After all, everybody is human. And once we realize this, then we ourselves can bring about a change. We will be in a better position to help someone else. We have released this very important handbook on how to identify early identification of uh, early identification of mental health issues in school-going children and how we can have an intervention on it. And similarly, the mental health survey, which we had conducted, it showed amongst other things, it showed that children are otherwise happy, but they have a lot of anxiety about studies and stress about exams. But one very significant thing that also threw up was that they wish that they could have more support from their teachers, their families, and friends. So this, if you look at it in today's thing, it's in a sense, a lonely world out there for many of our students. And this is where empowered teachers can come in and be a friend, philosopher, and guide, if I may say, to the students, to their learners, and be a friend for life. We are talking about lifelong learning also in the national education policy. And this is the way I think we need to grow, not just in the academic cognitive aspect, but also in our interpersonal relationships, in our mental and psychological growth in this journey. And also foster an environment where not only it's just not between teacher to student, but within amongst the teachers themselves and amongst the students and peers themselves, they can empower each other and have a much, a positive and a conducive environment for holistic growth and development. So with this, I extend my compliments to the Manodarpan cell and the team in NCERT, to Director NCERT for leading this, Professor Anjum Sibiaji for taking this mantle wholeheartedly and her team, Professor Mishra ji and others. I sincerely hope and I would sincerely wish that we take this message forward in various forums and strengthen this and make it an integral part of education and learning. Thank you very much, and I wish this conference all success.
Chancellor of Allahabad University. Professor Tripathi has served on important bodies of education like the UGC, ICSSR, to name a few. He has authored several books and papers on diverse issues in psychology. NCERT has also had the privilege of his expertise on several occasions, the psychology textbook to name one. I invite esteemed Professor R.C. Tripathi ji to deliver the keynote address of our conference. Sir.
Thank you very much. Let me begin by extending my very warm greeting to everybody who is present here, especially to our chief guest, Madam Chengsen, to the director of NCERT, Professor Saklani, to the principal of NERI, who welcomed all of us, Professor Anjum Sibia, who's been behind the founding of the Manodarpan cell and has been doing such a great job. I can only congratulate Manodarpan for taking the kind of initiative that it has. Because I don't know of many agencies which have conducted a survey of the kind which Manodarpan has. It's a stupendous task, really, to have data from 3 lakh plus students on mental health issues. The handbook which you have come up with, again, is something which I think very few have done elsewhere in other parts of the world. So let me say that this conference, again, is in the right direction. And it points out to a need that has not been felt for a long period of time. We began by chanting the Guru Mantra, not once, but twice or thrice. And that shows the kind of relationship which we used to have between the teacher and the student once upon a time. Sadly, that spirit is missing today. I say that because all what one has to do is to ask where India stands on Human Development Index today in terms of its ranking among the nations of the world. And that ranking is very, very low. It's in, if I remember correctly, it's in 130s. Now, if we want to be a Vishwaguru, then surely I think we have a lot more effort that we'll need to put in. Because very soon, we will also aspire to be a knowledge economy. We already are. But then, if we are going to become the largest economy of the world, we also will have to become the largest knowledge economy of the world. But with that kind of human development index, which we have, I think we now know the amount of ground that we have to cover. I also say this because of late, it appears that we haven't done as well as we have been doing in the past. True, the global Indians like Sundar Pichai or Satya Nadella, Kamala Harris, or if we can, a little of Rishi Sunak, we have all of those people. I'm going to ask you, do we have a teacher like Radhakrishnan today? Where are all those iconic professors we used to have in this country? Do you have scientists like C.V. Raman or Jagdish Chandra Bose or Satyen Bose? Again, we'll find that somewhere the kind of intellectual capital that we should have created over the years, that hasn't happened. And if that hasn't happened, then we have to ask, why is that the case? Is there a reason? To me, it appears that a lot really has changed. I come from Allahabad, and I'm reminded of a sher by Akbar Allahabadi. Said that BA kiya, नौकरी की, पेंशन ली और मर गए. If that's what our teachers are doing, then there is a lot which we have to feel concerned about. Now, it's not only the roles which have changed, the aspirations which have changed. Madam Chengsen and the director perhaps were talking about the status of teachers, and that the status of teachers cannot really be changed or raised just by increasing their salary. The question which Manodarpan has asked, which NEP has asked, I think is a very critical one. And that's the reason why this national conference has been organized. We have to ask that question, that why is it that we're not able to create the kind of minds which will raise not only the human capital, but will create a society which is different. Where we have people who are not competing against each other, where they're not focusing on themselves, but are enfolding each other. They're cooperating with each other. They're working towards goals which are not individual-centric. They're working towards goals which are society and nation-centric. Now that responsibility lies on the teachers. that responsibility lies on the schools. And if that has not happened, we have to ask that could it be that the relationship between the students and the teachers is not what it should be. And to me, it appears that that question needs to be asked now. The reason I'm saying that is because our mental health concerns are increasing by the day. There are not many who know that the mental health burden has been going up over the years. How many of us really know that India is the depression capital of the world? How many of us know, and this is, I'm quoting from the WHO statistics, that one in 4 families, one family out of 4 families is going to have someone who needs help. From a psychologist or from a psychiatrist. Now, do we know that the mental health survey which has been done by other agencies, the one which NCERT is going to do, probably is going to tell us a little more about it. But the mental health index of the teachers in India is not what it should be. And there are some very interesting findings. We know that most of the mental health problems they start very, very early in life. And by the time these children are about 6 to 8 years old, they're already in place. As a matter of fact, it has been found that 10% of these children actually need help from psychiatrists. Now, if that be the case, then the kind of concern which the ministry has shown, which shows up in establishing Manodarpan, which shows up, the government of India has done recently that there is a Mental Health Care Act which it has passed. There is a national commission which is established for allied health care. All of those, I think, are in place. The question which we need to ask is that whether it has translated on the ground. Unfortunately, it has not. The government of India allocated 0.8% of its health budget to mental health care. And out of that 0.8% budget, only a very, very meager sum of 5 lakhs was spent on mental health. The rest went to Nimhans and other institutions which were training people to take care of the mental health of other people. All I'm trying to say is that in view of the kind of situation we are in, we need to ask, why this happens to be the case. And my simple assertion is that a lot of us are not literate so far as mental health is concerned. There is a lot of mental health illiteracy we do not really know. When a child needs help, when an individual needs help. I was talking about the MHI, the MHI which has conducted the mental health survey of teachers. It found that among the teachers, the most who needed help were women who take care of primary education. Their mental health was poorer in comparison to males. And the reason for that is quite obvious. That the kind of dual role which they have to perform, they have to be not only look after their families, but they have to look after the children in the schools. They have to sort of add to the family income. So there are different kinds of stressors which they are exposed to and they have to meet. The same is true particularly of rural women. Mental health concerns of rural children should be of more concern to us than of urban children, because we find in various studies that have been done that rural children always come out low on various assessments compared to the urban children. So we have to look after these demographic factors, which are really very, very important. Now, how can that be done? I think one of the things which we need to do probably will be that we'll have to begin by making our teachers literate so far as mental health is concerned. Unless that mental health literacy is increased, they will not know what causes these problems, what are the risk factors which they should be taking care of. What are the beliefs they should be fighting with relating to stigma and stereotypes? Unless they do that, they will not be able to help. As a matter of fact, Madam Chengson drew our attention to the fact that what teachers need to do is to engage in self-reflection, which is the meaning of Manodarpan. their mind becomes a mirror. Unless they have these kinds of reflective minds, they would not be able to reflect on their own mental health. And of course, we cannot then expect that such people who cannot reflect on their own mental health will be concerned about the mental health of their students. So literacy has to go up. That's the first task which I think we will need to do. But I was pointing out to the fact that these teachers themselves are in poor mental health. And if these teachers are in poor mental health, then we will have to ask, why is it that they are in poor mental health? Most of the studies which have been carried out show that if there is a lack of person-environment fit, it has negative consequences for mental health. Now these teachers have to have certain psychological attributes too. All of them do. All of us individuals have our own, personal attributes. We have our own aspirations, we have our own values, we have our own needs. But all of these have to fit to the environments in which we are placed. And when talking about environments, we're talking about environment, which is family, which is the work environment, the social environment, the cultural environment, all of these. I'm drawing your attention to this because why else we will find that women teachers, female teachers, they're low on mental health. They're low on mental health because I suspect there is a lack of fit, lack of PE fit. Both which relates to fit in the family environment, in the work environment, and also in many cases the social environment of which they are a part. And we'll need to do that. And if they're able to do it, then only it's possible that a happy teacher will be able to produce a happy student. What's required here is that fit requires that they will need to be taught. They will need to be trained into coping skills. Trained how to cope with the stressors better. Because in the absence of coping skills, they only learn to be defensive. And if they learn to be defensive, we know what consequences defense has. It ends up in anxiety, raising the anxiety level, and it can convert into depression. How is that possible? Of course, that will be possible if we start working on the kind of school climate that we create, school climate which we construct. You're talking about I'll quickly, Anjumji, I'll take another 5 minutes. Maybe, is that okay? Okay. I'm sorry, like a teacher, I always take 40 minutes, okay. So you need to do that. The other thing which I think I said that you need to improve the climate of the school. And when I'm talking about climate as a school, we have found that there are all kinds of pressures, which result in negative consequences both for the teachers and for the students. We carried out a study many years back where we studied the kind of, problems which scheduled caste students face, scheduled caste teachers face in high caste schools. And we found that they had negative consequences for the self-concept of such a students. They did much, much better when they were in different kinds of schools. Like, for example, they were not in high caste schools, but they were in schools run by their own caste people. One of the things which I think we can do and we can think about is, which I think Manodarpan already probably is doing in terms of, developing support for students who suffer from mental health problems, is by creating support networks. And that support networks probably will help the teachers, because the networks can be formed between, where teachers work along with parents to help students. I suggest that because it has been found in a number of studies that when parents try to help their children who have failed examinations or are not doing very well, are low on achievement, it doesn't work. It doesn't work because parents and their children, they're together in this business. They achieve together. They fail together. And if they fail together, a person who has failed cannot be helped by another person who wants him or her to succeed. This help has to come from someone who is in good mental health. So a teacher who wants, a school which wants my students to do well in examinations, in board examinations, in other places, they will have to they will need to resort to other ways of social support rather than just leaving it to the teachers or to the parents. We'll need to involve the community. We'll need to involve the professionals, mental health professionals. And once the teachers have understood that there is a student who needs help, that person should be referred to a professional outside the school. We need to involve the community, because unless we work with the stigma, which is there with all kinds of mental health problems, schizophrenia and so on and so forth, it will not be possible to really provide the kind of help which the students need. So my suggestion is, which I would like to make, is that we need to work at several levels. First, make teachers literate with respect to mental health. We attend to the mental health of teachers by focusing on their person-environment fit, by helping them to develop the kind of coping skills they need to develop to cope with the problems which they face in their environment. We need to focus on developing a positive school climate. Manodarpan has been doing some work in this area, but I think we need to focus on deliberating on positive education. There's a point which I would like to make, that there is very little focus that we make on the kind of pedagogies which we use. that pedagogy has to change. I think we have to think in terms of making use of experiential learning a little more than we have been doing. As a matter of fact, we don't use experiential learning at all. But that pedagogy has to, rather than learning only from books or learning from the digital media, then we have to develop social support networks. Social support networks within the schools involving the peers, particularly because that support, peer support, goes a very, very long way in helping students who are suffering from mental health problems. Networks involving teachers and parents. We have parent-teachers meeting, but I think we can have parent-teacher meetings which focus on mental health problems also. We can involve community mental health workers and work with professionals who have been working in this particular area. There is a lot more which remains to be said, but I thought that I should stop here. Thank you very much for inviting me. I think it's a very, very important topic on which we are going to deliberate for the next 2 days. And I'm sure that the recommendations of this are going to really help us do a lot better than we have done in the past. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Another organization working for teachers is the National Council for Teacher Education, established in 1995, with the objective of planned and coordinated development of teacher education system throughout the country, of which the Director NCERT is the current chairperson. We are privileged to be joined by the Member Secretary NCTE, Ms. K.Y. Sherpa. May I now request ma'am to share her observations, please.
Thank you. Madam Chanson, Professor Saklani sir, Professor Dhar, Sridhar Srivastav Professor Archit Tripathi, Professor Anjum Sibia and her Manodarpan team. Dear friends, namaskar. First of all, it is really good to see this amount of awareness of mental health and the fact that we are talking about it. I can just say that in our generation, if I were to tell my parents, no, I'm not feeling good or I'm feeling low today, they would give me probably a tight slap and say, you're okay, go ahead with your daily work. But today the awareness is so much that we are actually speaking about it. People who are suffering from mental health are seeking professional help. And the very fact that the World Mental Health Day, 2022 theme of making mental health a global priority speaks volumes of the progress that we have made in this field in these few years. And I want to congratulate the Ministry of Education as well as the Manodarpan team for having worked tirelessly and selflessly during the pandemic to provide psychosocial support to all our teachers, and their efforts are ongoing and we can see it. As we are all aware that the teachers, all our speakers before have said that the teachers do play a pivotal role in the development of society, and NEP 2020 stresses on the need to restore the position of teachers to the noblest of all professions. I want to quote a few paras of NEP 2020 which are relevant, especially with this mental health aspect. Para 2.0, it talks about 2.9. It says children are unable to learn optimally when they are undernourished or unwell. Hence, the nutrition and health, including mental health of children, will also be addressed in the school system. I also want to point out another para, that is 4.28, which says that basic training in health, including preventive health, mental health, good nutrition, personal and public hygiene, disaster response, and first aid will also be included in the curriculum. In alignment with NEP 2020, the National Council for Teacher Education, which is responsible for the pre-service training of teachers, have gone ahead with our efforts in including, like the NEP says, in the curricula, the curriculum framework, the regulation, various aspects to cover this important topic of mental health. As everybody is pointing out, if teachers are happy and positive, so too it will reflect on their children. So to empower teachers for promoting mental health and well-being, as is the topic of this seminar, and I want to congratulate everybody who's working towards it. What we have done in NCTE, I just want to say for the teachers, because Professor Tripathi also pointed out that we have to inculcate or we have to sensitize teachers about this. So in the pre-service teacher education stream, as you are all aware, we have launched the pilot integrated teacher education program, a 4-year undergraduate program in a pilot mode in government institutions across the country. This will be running in the academic session, the coming academic session. In that, we have kept a subject, health and wellness, sports and fitness, in this item, which will comprise of about 2 credits, which will develop awareness about the mental health issue. We are also working on various other curricula of 2-year, 1-year, BPEd, arts education. Saklani sir is there. He's our chairperson also. He's well aware. And this aspect of mental health awareness will be incorporated and is being incorporated in all our curricula. Now, as far as the existing working teachers are concerned, I do know that all the NCERT has been playing a huge role in the training of teachers. Well, now NCTE also, as far as for the working teachers are concerned, the in-service teachers are concerned, we have launched our flagship pilot project. We are still doing it on pilot mode called the National Mission for Mentoring. This National Mission for Mentoring will ensure the psychosocial support to school teachers for managing and addressing the work-life challenges. We have kept a topic called mental health as an important component, as one of the components of this National Mission for Mentoring. And this mental health component will cater to the socio-emotional learning of teachers themselves, which in turn will also translate down to the students. So for the in-service teachers, this is what we are doing. Secondly, we also have another flagship program called the National Professional Standard for Teachers. In our field trial version, which is already out, this is in pilot mode again, government institutions, there is a special domain that allows teachers to access their understanding of recognizing, identifying, and fostering unique capabilities of each child. And it intends to support, enhance the child's different capabilities in dealing with the diverse needs of their child in the classroom, including their mental health. So under the able leadership of and guidance of our chairperson, Saklani sir, he's holding additional charge. These are the various initiatives which we have introduced in this year itself, in these 3 very important programs that we are launching for teachers in the pre-service sector, as well as the in-service sector. So, this is what I wanted to tell you about what we are doing in NCTE. You can log on to our website. These things are there. For all the teachers who are there, who are in service, you can please log on. These pilot programs are on in the field. And since time is really short, I just want to conclude, and I want to emphasize the role of teachers in this education system and the need for each teacher. Saklani sir also was pointing out that the need for each teacher to lead by example. And this national conference that you have organized, and Neri also, congratulations, is so significant in that direction, so that it empowers teachers to become, as Madam Jansen said, the friend, philosopher, and guide, and mentors of their students. And at the end, I want to say that we should all act that it's okay not to be okay. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, ma'am. I now call upon the conference coordinator from Niri Shillong, Dr. Prachi Gildial, to please propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you very much, Ruchi. It's a great pleasure to be given the opportunity to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of all of us at NCERT and the Manodarpan cell. I begin by offering our sincere thanks to Madam Ellis Johnson, Honorable Additional Secretary, Institutions, Ministry of Education, Government of India. Ma'am, your continued interest in the progress of this very significant endeavor that has been taken up by NCERT and the Manodarpan cell, the effort to make mental health and well-being of students count, it's acknowledged deeply. Your ideas were very inspiring in today's talk also, and especially your idea about when you were talking about the teacher being a friend, philosopher, and guide. And I believe that the Indian concept of guru embodies all these dimensions. So thank you very much, ma'am, for bringing up all these important ideas. Thank you also for all your support. Manodarpan has become a thriving program under your guidance, and it is making significant contributions to enhancing mental health and well-being of students. I also offer my thanks to our director, Professor G.K. Saklani, for providing us the opportunity to organize this conference, especially for having it here in Neri. We are motivated by your continued interest and support, and also for highlighting the fact that only when teachers are happy can they really take care of their students. Thank you very much, sir. I'm very grateful to our keynote speaker for the day, Professor R.T. Tripathi. I will not miss this chance to bask in reflected glory by mentioning here that sir is my very own teacher. He has long been associated with NCERT programs. So thank you very much for guiding us in several of our endeavors and also for highlighting significant issues relating to teacher empowerment for promoting mental health and well-being in schools. Sir, thank you also for actually setting the tone for the next 3 days by raising very pertinent questions and giving us very thought-provoking data, as always, on mental health. Thank you very much, sir. I would also like to thank our Joint Director, Professor Sridhar Srivastava, who we could not hear right now, and Ms. Kesang Yangjan Sherpa, Member Secretary, NCTE, for being here with us and sharing her insights on this very crucial issue we are deliberating upon. And giving us information on a number of new initiatives that NCTE has taken up for enhancing teacher well-being, especially about mentoring the teachers. Thanks are due to Professor Anjum Sibia, in charge Manodarpan cell, NCERT. Ma'am's personal attention to every detail and constant support and guidance. And I must add here, the affection with which she was leading us have been valuable in making things run smoothly up to now, and we are assured that Manodarpan is making a real difference in the lives of all its touches under ma'am's leadership. I cannot thank enough our very own principal in charge, Professor Florence Dakar. Ma'am has always been on our side and striving for doing things perfectly. Thank you, ma'am, for all the enthusiasm that you infuse in us in all the things we take up. I extend my gratitude to all RI principals and JD PSSCIVE, directors of SCRTs and the state government functionaries, commissioners of AVs and JNVs, for being here and also for deputing their people to participate in this very important conference, and other faculty, teachers, and participants who have joined us today in this inaugural session and will be with us throughout these 3 days. I would also like to thank all members of the organizing committee for this seminar. Before that, I first would like to thank the CIET team of NCERT, because as we all know, this conference is being run in blended mode, and it could not have been possible without the continuing collaboration with the PFE and NERI that CIET has been doing since the past week at least. I would like to thank the entire CIT team headed by Joint Director Professor Amarendra Behera, as well as our own ICT and studio team. Now I would also like to thank all members of the organizing committee for this seminar. We worked as a team, and the collaboration and cooperation from all made this task exciting and relatively easy. Thank you all. Finally, I thank all those associated with Manodarpan Cell, faculty of JEPI and NERI staff who chipped in with several things needed preparatory to start today. I hope that what we do in these 3 days will help us identify ways in which we could work towards a more supportive, enabling, and fulfilling teacher-taught relationship, which can enhance the mental health. Also, that I hope that this conference will be able to enhance the mental health literacy of all people around us. We hope to have happy teachers who will produce happy students. Thank you very much.
Thank you. May I now request all present to please rise for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you, everyone. The program would be taken forward from Niri Shillong henceforth. Request all participants to continue for the following sessions to deliberate on issues related to empowering teachers for mental health and well-being in schools. Thank you.